Is Brad Pitt going to win his first Oscar for producing? You're watching Beyond the Trailers review of 12 Years a Slave.
I was born a free man, lived with my family in New York.
Be good for your mother.
Until the day I was deceived,
To Solomon.
kidnapped, sold into slavery.
Well, boy, how you feel now?
My name is Solomon Northup. I'm a free man, and you have no right whatsoever to detain me.
You're no free man. You're nothing but a Georgia runaway.
Wow, talk about a banner year for Brad Pitt, producer. First, he was able to take a hard look in the mirror and agree that World War Z needed a major overhaul, which resulted in not just one of the most successful movies of the year, but the most successful of his own career, not to mention that it looks like he finally has himself a franchise. Then, despite Harvey Weinstein beating him to the punch with both Fruitvale Station and Lee Daniels the Butler, festival buzz has been so strong for 12 Years a Slave that it looks to be the one to beat for the Oscar after all. In fact, while standing on a red carpet at the New York Film Festival waiting for talent to arrive for interviews, another reporter said that 12 Years a Slave is the Schindler's List of slavery films. Schindler's List, of course, depicted another tragedy, the Holocaust, and was nominated for 12 Oscars, winning 7, including Best Picture. Like Schindler's List, 12 Years a Slave is based on a true story. Solomon Northup was a free black man living in the North who was kidnapped and then sold into slavery for 12 years. Upon winning back his freedom through the U.S. legal system, Northup published a book about his experience, which you can still purchase today. I've included the Amazon.com link in the video description. If 12 Years a Slave does indeed become a critical and box office success a la Schindler's List, that's not only good news for superstar Pitt, but the lesser-known talent involved as well. Director Steve McQueen, currently most famous for discovering Michael Fassbender, who also stars here, would jump to the big leagues with only his third film after the Ultra Indies Hunger and Shame. Furthermore, he would leapfrog his contemporaries, Nicholas Winding Refn, Derek Cianfrance, and the Butler-Helmer Lee Daniels. This would also be big news for Chiwetel Ejiofor, another UK talent like McQueen, who has never quite caught on in Hollywood. And of course, this would be yet another feather in Quvonzhané Wallis's cap, as she prepares to star in an urban remake of Annie in 2014. Yes, as I noted earlier this year, after Django Unchained broke through last year, there have been a plethora of films about the struggles of African Americans. So many that at this point the discussion has to turn to quality to sort them out. Is 12 Years a Slave the best of the bunch? Actually, I wouldn't say that 12 Years a Slave is the best, because I think that's a disservice to The Butler, Fruitvale Station, and 42, all of which are very good films. I haven't seen Mandela, so I can't speak to that. But the reason that I think that 12 Years a Slave is such a hot Oscar contender, while the other ones aren't faring as well in that area, is because 12 Years a Slave is willing to go the darkest I've seen yet in portraying slavery. But even beyond that, it's the first film I've seen really try to portray the gray area in which African Americans, both free and slaves, lived in at that time period. Now, for the longest time, both the school system, the history books, and the media, by and large, I mean, I'm sure there have been exceptions, but by and large, they've portrayed slavery as black and white. And I really do feel that those outlets should be called to task for such an inaccurate portrayal that's colored generations of people's perception of what happened with slavery. But as we have the internet makes people across the globe hungry for the truth, I think that this is the perfect time for a sophisticated film like this. So as for the film itself, as for its artistic merit, it is without a doubt Steve McQueen's opus. I mean, everybody involved obviously has to be very talented for a film to succeed at this level, but I think that the takeaway here is McQueen. And he directs like a pro, despite it being just his third film. And actually, it reminded me a little bit of Lincoln from last year, not only in terms of quality and its historical importance, but also the way I think it got the time period just right in a subtle, masterful way. Of course, the acting performances are very good. Chiwetel Ejiofor is excellent in the lead. The actress who plays Patsy is phenomenal. This is another great find by McQueen, just like Michael Fassbender. But speaking of Michael Fassbender and the other white actors in the film, none of them really make a huge impression because on the one hand, they don't have a lot of screen time because, obviously Solomon Northup moves around a lot, but also because they're portraying such despicable people who never let their slaves see behind their masks. And because of that, we never get to see behind their masks either. Steve McQueen chooses not to try and round those characters out, which I think is I think the movie's long enough as it is, and it covers a lot of ground, so I just think that it just couldn't go in that direction. Also, Brad Pitt. I'm so proud of him for producing this movie. I'm rooting for him. I'm a big fan of actors who can go behind the camera, but I will say that his casting, I think, was a little bit off, because he was just it was so much like Brad Pitt just walked into the movie. He didn't disappear into the role, and he's the only real huge star in the film. So it just kind of pulls you out just a little bit. It's almost like, wow, this guy that Brad Pitt plays is so wonderful, and kind of like a little angel. Brad Pitt's like, I'll take that role. So that was my only little, tiny little nitpick about the movie. But it's really a powerful, dark movie. I mean, as I said, there are things in here that have been portrayed before in Roots, in Django Unchained, in The Butler, things about slavery and the evils of slavery. And so some people might be inclined to think that, this is not anything new. But I'm telling you, I really think that, it's subtle. As I said, the whole film is subtle. But if you really focus on it, you'll see that McQueen does a great job of portraying the reality of slavery, and how a whole race was treated like livestock, yet was on the same intellectual level as their so-called masters. It's really, really interesting, really sophisticated. I think it actually would benefit from multiple viewings. When I was at this press screening, a number of people had seen it at a previous festival and had come back again. And I think you'll definitely be seeing it at the Oscars. And I'm very excited for Steve McQueen and what he'll do next. So that's my review of 12 Years a Slave. If you've had a chance to see the film, share your own thoughts down below, and I'll help check out these other episodes right now.